Hello YouTube, this is Ethan back again from the Tech Gamer channel. Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be looking at my graphics card buying guide for late 2015 and early 2016. So with no further ado, let's go ahead and get into the video, guys. So first off, I want to tell you that I did factor this into several different categories. These categories are under $150 for those of you who are budget gamers, under $200 to those of you who are just trying to get the best value for their money, um, mid-range, which is what I'm going to recommend most of you, high-end, which is for you competitive gamers out there, 4K ready, which is for those of you who need to play at 4K, and extreme for those of you who just want to get the best of the best. So let's go ahead and start off with our lowest end category, the $150. Alright, so at $150 price range, you actually do have quite a few choices. You could go with a 750 Ti, you could go with an R7 370, but the two choices that stood out to me are the GTX 950 and the AMD R9 270. So for $140, the GTX 950 is a very nice card with 2 gigs of GDDR5 and a 1024 megahertz base clock. This card is probably the best out of the two here, but it is a very marginal difference. The AMD R9 270 is not far behind at all. It also does have 2 gigabytes of GDDR5. However, it does have a slightly lower 900 megahertz base clock, which will show a little bit in games. However, when overclocked, you pretty much won't notice the difference between these two cards. And overall, you can't go wrong with either of the cards in this price range. Next up for the $200, this is for those of you who have about $50 more to spend, and you know maybe you're upgrading a existing card or upgrading a pre-built system or something like that. Maybe you're trying to get into PC gaming. Whichever it is, this is definitely a great card to check out. And the GTX 960 is the first one of our two options here. It is $200 with 4 gigs of GDDR5 and a 1024 megahertz base clock. The R9 380 is got the exact same specs for the exact same price. However, the R9 380 does beat out the GTX 960 because of factors such as a higher memory clock and more CUDA cores, which is essentially going to make the R9 380 a better purchase. You will pretty much get higher frame rates in every game. Whether or not you will notice those frame rates is up to you. But considering that they are $200 both, the R9 380 is definitely the option you're going to want to go with. Moving over to mid-range, this is the price range that I definitely recommend for most people. The GTX 970 and the R9 390 are the main options in this range. For $330, you can get the NVIDIA option, which has 4 gigs of GDDR5 and a 1376 megahertz base clock. The R9 390 is the AMD option, which is just a little bit less at $320, with 8 gigs of GDDR5 and a 1060 megahertz base clock. Both these cards are basically the best cards you can get from both. In my opinion, for as far as value goes, these are the best cards you can get. These cards are very nice. However, the R9 390 pretty much blows away the GTX 970 despite the lower price range because of that extra 4 gigs of GDDR5. And if you're looking for the best value card currently on the market, the R9 390 is the owner of that title. So the R9 390 is definitely what I recommend for those of you looking for a mid-range graphics card. Moving on to high-end, this is for you guys who are competitive gamers or getting into competitive gaming and are okay with playing at like 1440p and maybe 4K if you lower your settings a little bit. And we have our two options being the 980, GTX 980 and the R9 Fury. The GTX 980 is $490 and it does have 4 gigs of GDDR5 and an 1180 megahertz base clock. The R9 Fury, despite, I don't know why this is $51, but the R9 Fury is $510, $510, despite what it says on the PowerPoint. And it got 4 gigs of GDDR5 memory and a 1020 megahertz base clock, which is okay, but for the price, the R9 Fury is kind of blown away by the GTX 980, which pretty much beats out the R9 Fury in every category. So if you're looking for a card around $500, the GTX 980 is definitely the way to go. Next up, we have those of you who are competitive at 4K. So if you're looking to spend a lot of money on your next system or upgrade a pre-existing system, and you are a very competitive gamer, and you need a single card that will play at 4K with high settings and high frame rates, then the GTX 980 Ti and the R9 Fury X are very great options. Now, this category is kind of interesting because though the GTX 980 Ti with its 6 gigs of GDDR5 and its 1290 MHz base clock pretty much blows away the performance of the R9 Fury X's uh, 4 gigs of GDDR5 and the 1050 MHz base clock, the R9 Fury X does have one thing that I have to say is very cool, and that is that it does come with water cooling. It is a water-cooled card. So despite that the 980 Ti is a little bit better performer, the water cooling will help, and also that's just pretty cool. So if you want a card that is very, very unique, I'd recommend the R9 Fury X. However, if pure performance is what your deciding factor is going to be, the GTX 980 Ti is the way to go. And finally, guys, this is the extremist category. Those of you who want the best of the best and don't want there to be any card better than yours, you're going to have to go with the GTX Titan X. Now, don't think this is going to come cheap. This is a $1,200 card, and it is very hard to recommend this card when two 980 Ti's for the same price will pretty much outperform it. However, since this video is only featuring single cards, I definitely recommend, well, I can't really recommend, but this is pretty much the best card you can get as far as performance goes. With 12 gigs of GDDR5 and an 1130 MHz base clock, the GTX Titan X is a fairly amazing card. I have no idea how they even made this, but this card is fairly insane. So if you are one of those people who just want to have the most insane thing you can possibly get in your gaming PC, the GTX Titan X is probably your only option. So guys, that's it for the video. I did show you a couple little price ranges, and I hope this helps you out when choosing your next graphics card. If so, hit that like button, and if you have any more questions about choosing a graphics card, also just ask me in the comments and I will try to get back to you. As always, like and subscribe for more content like this, and I will have my Twitter and Instagram links in the description. And as always, I will see you guys in the next video.